but then, like, for pretty much the whole series, it's just the same thing over and over. And the last, he uses it in pretty creative ways, but this is not size the last jutsu. This is just his regular Super B scroll stuff, and it sucks. I want to put Chakra Gun in A, because, like, Naruto just firing this massive mouth laser and blowing up Orochimaru's triple Rashomon was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. When I was, did I watch this for the first time when I was a teenager, or was I still like 11, 12? I don't know. But when I was whatever age, it was really cool to look at. But I don't think it's as cool as all these other things. So, in B rank to go, Chidori Nagashi, easy A rank. Beyond Joshi Jutsu is neat, but it's not one of my favorites. So, stick with B. Same with Kakuzu Jutsu, right? Like, as much as I like Kakuzu, I don't like him enough to put his Jutsu in A. So, Rasen Shuriken, I think, is, well, it's on the low end of A, because it is cool, but, like, my thing is, Naruto took way too long to learn it. He should have known this coming into Shippuden, because at the beginning of Shippuden, it felt like Jiraiya hadn't really taught him anything. But, still, that's not really the fault of the Jutsu. So, Rasen Shuriken, you can hang out here in A with all the other big boys. Hydrification, so you guys keep turning yourself into one. I want to put it in B because it's not really like used that well, but no, that's not fair to do against it. Keep going with B. Jugo Senjutsu, like, I like him, and this is not a knock against him as a character, but his whole gimmick pisses me off because it, like, the curse mark felt like this weird forbidden, like, black magic that Orochimaru had created, and then it just, like, it's just all from this one guy, and it's also like nature energy and like sage mode or whatever. It's like it just cheapens the curse mark, and that makes me very unhappy. So, like, stripped of that, I'd probably put it in B, but because of the implications it has in its relationship with one of my favorite dudes in the series, I got to slap it down in C tier. C2 Dragon is just a bigger version of Datara's C1 Bird, so it's like, I don't like it. It's going to C. C4 is also cool hypothetically, but it doesn't do anything to talk to, and it doesn't look cool enough to make up for that, so I think it belongs in C. Now C0, I feel comfortable putting in A tier, because even though Sasuke went through it was really shocking that Datara just killed himself because of how angry Sasuke made him in that fight. And I mean, like, that explosion is so massive. It was like it's hard not to respect him after that. So I think A is a fair place to put that. Rinnegan, easy peasy S tier. Massive Rasengan is like, it's a B. My main thing with it is, like, the whole thing about the Rasengan is that it's, like, strong because it's chakra, like, condensed into a small space, and then Jiraiya just like, yeah, but also I can do a massive, gigantic, huge, like, mega Rasengan. So, like, why even include that as, like, a clause of the jutsu? You know what I mean? It's like, it's sort of like Jugo's thing with the curse mark. But that said, this looks way cooler than Jugo Senjutsu does, so I don't mind putting it in B tier. Great Fat Distortion is okay. B tier, I think, is where it belongs. The Six Paths technique is probably A tier. I think S is where that belongs. Amaterasu is also S. I really like it. Dragon Flame Jutsu, except not the same name, is yeah, it's B. It's not as cool as the original Fireball Jutsu, just because, like, when you see it, it's not as, like, nice to look at as the Fireball Jutsu is the first time you see it, but, you know, I think I might actually stick the Fireball Jutsu down at B, now that I think about it. I might move you back up later, but for now, you're hanging out in the cool but not that cool category. Ooh. Susanoo is also an S rank jutsu. I really like it. And Lariat, I don't want to put it in A, but I don't know if it's as cool as all of these jutsus. So I think B is a fair place for it. Karin's healing jutsu is, like, But like, it's not like awesome, but it's interesting enough that I think it deserves to be in B. The soul absorption thing of the human path is like really weird to me, especially because it's like never taken advantage of. So here's the thing, right? I think this could be an A tier jutsu, but it's only used on like NPCs. And Nagato almost used it to kill Naruto and B, but he doesn't because of course he can't. They're the main, like Naruto's the main character. So, like it's like, yeah, this is cool, but why even put it in the series if you're just never going to like actually have people die this way? King of Hell is sort of the same thing. It's also just, so the King of Hell is just the human path, but like a summon, and it's like the thing, like it just kills like NPCs. That's all it's responsible for. So like. Conan's paper jutsu is so sick. It's such a weird jutsu, especially for like after Itachi, Kisame, Deidara, and Sasori, and then like Hidan Kaku, like all these people with like crazy powers. Like 2 of them are immortal. 2 of them are like like Sasori can like blow up this gigantic cave just with like his hand, and has all these crazy poison contractions until the 3rd Kazekage, and Deidara can do this, and then Itachi and Kisame speak for themselves. Then you just tell me that like the right hand to the boss of the Akatsuki's power is like, that's what it is, and it's actually surprisingly cool. So yeah. Bancho A rank. Shinra Tensei also A rank. Sage mode is easy S rank, so cool, and same with Shibaku Tensei. Rene Rebirth is gonna go in C only because like all of the consequences that came from the pain arc get immediately undone by this jutsu, right? Like Kakashi dead, all these other characters dead, except actually they come back to life. So you only think that they're dead for a little bit before they're revived, and it's just like it feels kind of cheap and cheesy. Raikage's lightning armor is cool, but not that cool. So I'm gonna stick it in B, but the Liger Bomb, oh man, it's awesome. Definitely A. And on Kagutsuchi is S rank, just like Amaterasu. Lava Style is, hold on. I'm gonna delete F tier because there's no way I'm gonna fill up. Like there's barely even like a distinction between them. We don't need it. So anyway, Lava Style is just like, you're like, oh cool, this person who does like this cool blend between like fire style and water style, I can't wait to see how it's used later in the war arc where every character has the opportunity to like, show off their stuff, and then it's just like, oh shit, it's worthless? Okay, well, that sucks. Particle style is B. Obito's combo is S. So Izanagi, the way that's done, so used it probably S, but just because of the weird retcon where like Itachi said that all of the Uchiha clan was using it, even though you needed like 6 pads powers to do it, I'm not putting it in S, I got a 6 and A. Kodo Masakami, we never see it, is the thing. But it is what broke Itachi out of like Kabuto's control. But see, if we'd actually seen it used, they'd probably put it in A or S, but since we don't really know anything about it, I feel more comfortable putting it in B. And the reverse Tetra rank is D rank. Like, hard D rank. Only because in Ultimate Ninja Storm Revolution, this was the dumbest thing in the whole game. It just killed you like one hit. This like Super Odin or Sengun Mega Barrage or whatever it's called. I feel okay putting it here. It is pretty cool to see Kurama just get pounded by like 600 billion or Sengun. You go here. You go here. Hirodora is Hirodora death is the first thing. I'd probably say Super Water Shark Bomb B. Laser Circuit here B. Planetary Sengun. Grand Stand Mausoleum would be so much cooler if it had actually been like effectively used to seal real any like big like threatening like boss characters in the war. But it's like no one major got taken down by this. As much as I want to put it in A, it's going to be the clan genjutsu I'm sticking in C just because like it's so confusing and it's so hard to follow, and the Mizukage has to sit there and like explain it to you like 8 times, and you're still like I don't know, man. Just a destroyer like though. Right? Is it S? It's probably more like A, right? Tengai Shinsei, that's an S right there. When Madara first summoned this meteor, yeah, it speaks for itself. I don't have to explain to you guys that I've done that there. We were there, like, people, so, this stuff Takatsuchi is, I mean, Susanoo is S. Amaterasu is S. And Takatsuchi is S. Yeah, this one has to be S as well, right? Yasuko Magatama, yeah, that's a B. It's kind of cool, but it's not, like, that cool. So I kind of feel like a bit of a dork for putting both my Code Regeneration and 100 Healing on this, in this template, because, I mean, I'm gonna put them in the same tier, and even though they are different, they're similar enough that the fact that they're in the same tier is, like, why even put them in this, whatever. Kabuto's dragon thing is, like, really weird, so, like, the fact that it is a big red dragon has nothing to do with the way the jutsu functions, right? It's some weird, like, high-pitched sound jutsu that's supposed to mess with the opponent's senses, and you wouldn't get that impression from first looking at the red dragon here. So, like, I mean, I think the jutsu's cool. I don't think it makes any sense. Izanami I am putting in B tier because while I like the idea of an infinite loop genjutsu, the reason for its creation, like the story Itachi tells about Uchiha spamming Izanami afterwards, like to justify its existence, is really stupid. It also is a bit too strong. It got pulled out of nowhere, never been mentioned before. All of a sudden, conveniently, when they have to beat Kabuto without killing him, Itachi has a genjutsu that works on people who are immune to visual and auditory genjutsu. It's like, I don't know, man. It seems pretty Deus Ex Machina to me. So, as much as I want to put it in an A because I think it's cool, like the loop aspect of it, everything surrounding it is a bit stinky, so I'm gonna stick it in B. Perfect Susanoo, not even gonna make a case for it. I doubt anybody's surprised I'm putting it as Cho Mini Bizudama. Yeah, well, like a small-tailed beast bomb is cool, but like, so at this point, it wasn't doing serious damage to anybody. It was pretty much the same thing as a Rasengan, like, as far as utility was concerned, by the time it started being used, so I'm gonna stick in B. You can go in B. This should go in B, just because it's like, it's just so cool. So I'm sticking it in A. Majestic Attire Susanoo is going to F. Letting the Ninetales wear the Susanoo as armor is really cool, and I'm not going to be fooled otherwise, so S is exactly where it belongs. Wood Golem, side of A or B, like, compared to the other stuff Hashirama can do, this isn't super, like, unique or impressive, so I think B is a fair place to put it. But this, the gigantic 1,000-armed Buddha, I don't even remember the proper name for it, but it's so over the top. I don't know if I want to put it in that. F is a fair place for it. This thing is pretty awesome. Human Boulder Yo-Yo. I always like seeing, Shikamaru and Choji working together and doing cool team combination stuff, and this was a pretty unique example of that. So yeah, hey, it's a good place for that. Ten Tails Chakra Mode, BVS. Repeated explosive tags is probably, yeah, best at A. Anton Rossinger.
Explain all to you, man.
A makes more sense.
No, that's back spawn, man.
Biju Sage Mode. Well, since Sage Mode is an S and Biju Mode is an A. don't even know if I want to rank this, so I'm gonna put it in the save for later pile. Same with Senjutsu Sumo. I don't know. This one might be a B. This one was kind of weird. Not as bad, just that, you know, it's not. I didn't see this and go, oh, that's cool. I was like, so that's neat, but it's also kind of weird. The Sword of Nunaboko, I think it makes sense to put it in A because it's said to be powered by the wielder's force of will, and so it makes sense that Naruto and Sasuke are able to beat Obito in the moment that his resolve to continue on with the Eye of the Moon plan gets shaken up. You know, there's this split second where he has all of these thoughts about what could have been, how his life could have turned out if he hadn't followed after Madara. And it's because he has this brief moment of doubt that Naruto and Sasuke are able to break through the Sword of Nunaboko and rip the Ten Tails out of him. I think that was a pretty cool way to have him lose. Even though I know a lot of people were pretty sick of talk no jutsu by this point. Night Guy is, everybody likes this jutsu. This is like, there's no way I can put it anywhere beneath that. Magna Style Rasen Shuriken, then you can go here. Maybe here. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if I really like the idea of Naruto combining the two chakra with the Rasen Shuriken, because the Rasengan was already supposed to be really hard to combine it with an element, and like the fact that Naruto was able to do that was a mark of his like genius or whatever. Like even Minato couldn't do it, and he created the Rasengan. But so then you tell me Naruto not only adds wind to the Rasengan, he adds lava to the wind added to the Rasengan, and lava's not like a regular nature transformation either. That's the reason why this is so wacky. Lava is a Kekkei Genkai combination of two nature transformations, fire and earth. So even though it was supposed to be like impossible to add a nature element to a Rasengan, Naruto has effectively added 3 of them to this one: fire, earth, and wind. And it all just sort of comes out of nowhere because he gets his like stage 6 pass power. It's never addressed, it's never pointed out how weird this is. And so while it does look really nice, I don't know if I think it makes that much sense. So C is probably where it is. 6-pass stage mode on the other hand, this is really cool. Naruto's version looks awesome, and so does Madara's. Yeah, I'm okay with it. Limbo is either A or S. Well, I made it an honorable mention on my top 5 jutsu list, so I think I should probably put it in S tier. Amino Tejikara, Sasuke's Rinnegan teleportation. If it isn't in S, it's very close to being in S, because every time Sasuke uses it, it's for something that's just like really cool. The only good fight in like the whole Boruto anime is Naruto and Sasuke versus Momoshiki. And one of the coolest moments in that fight features this jutsu, so I feel a little bit bad if I didn't put it up here. But again, S tier is getting really crowded, so I'm gonna put you in A. I feel bad about it, but you're really close to S, I promise. Magnet Style Rasengan might be in C for the same reason as the Lava Style Rasen Shuriken, but to be fair, this isn't the same thing as adding an element to a Rasengan that already had an element added to it. This is just adding an element to a Rasengan. But it is also, just like Lava, it is a Kekkei Genkai element. Nobody's sure what the elements that make up magnet release are. I'm pretty sure it's wind and earth. And wait, actually, if part of magnet release is wind, why wouldn't it have any of the traits of rock, right? Like that's the other thing. This is basically just a regular Rasengan with like Shukaku patterns on it. So I don't know. This is kind of weird. Onyx Story is pretty much the same thing as Chidori Lamen. So I'm gonna stick it here at the back for a little bit. Infinite Tsukuyomi. Before I found out that it turned everybody into Zetsus, I would have put it in A or S. I can totally see how they came to the conclusion that this was like a morally righteous thing to do, to put everyone under the influence of the Infinite Tsukuyomi. But then I found out that even if they had succeeded, it would have just turned everybody into Zetsus, which is stupid. So I'm putting it in B. All of Kaguya, I want to say, are S. not only are they like really powerful, but they're also super cool to look at, and they feel pretty alien compared to a lot of the other jutsu seen throughout the series. Like, you know, the portal she opens when she travels between dimensions is this weird, like, this weird shape that I don't know how to describe. That's made out of like multiple squares. It's super cool.
Well done.
So, yeah, I don't. So this is sort of like a hybrid of both Kamui Shuriken and Kakashi's Perfect Susanoo, and this is stupid, right? Like that Kakashi got a Perfect Susanoo is kind of dumb, and it did sort of get pulled out of thin air. If not for that, I would put this in S, but since it is pretty Deus Ex Machina, he's gonna have to put it in A. The final truth-seeking word, your the sixth has Shibaku Tensei. So, mechanically, it's the exact same thing as regular Shibaku Tensei, except on a larger scale. But this panel right here, where they steal Kaguya,
I expect it's
from putting it in B, just because, like, again, it's
but for I expect.
Tensei right here. That's what I want to
You're oh, you're maar PSV is wel landskampioen. Maar
not only are these two looking
it is what it is.
Series, but like the process through which Sasuke created these jutsu is also
Every Champions League winning.
He summoned all of the Biju satellites
Every Champions League winning, kijk
all
man.
of the tail pieces inside.
Heel
And
fijn
it makes
aanzet.
it so much more powerful that it transforms.
Lastige man.
And if Susanoo ended up looking stupid after
Zijn bijna niet
that
verkeerd.
would have been one thing, but it definitely didn't.
Maar ik ben wel, als ik moet kiezen, ja, AZ dan. Maar ik ben Heerenveen ook, weet je wel. Ook wel mooi hoor. Mooie stad. En de spelers, ja, dan AZ wel man. Ik denk dat AZ wel gaat pakken. Maar ik ga deze pakken. Wat denk jij dan? Ajax, PSV en Heerenveen, AZ. Wat denk je dat het gaat worden? Dan hadden we nog gelijk spel. Ja, je bent voor Heerenveen. Kom je ook uit Heerenveen? Kom je uit Drachten?
Hey, how's it going everybody? Swagkage here, and welcome to today's video where
We're going
to be talking about Guy versus
Steve.
You may be wondering why I'm covering this matchup in particular, and well, people usually have two major problems with my versus battle videos, and the first is that a lot of them focus on Uchiha characters fighting other non-Uchiha characters or other Uchiha characters. And since I've developed a reputation as that guy in the Naruto community,
maar ik ook voor ADO man, want ik kom uit daarna. Ja, ADO speelt niet mee man. Maar Mbappé wel, Mbappé. Mbappé. Ik ben heel lang niet live geweest bro, heel lang niet. Wat een paas, kijk deze, kijk deze. Als ik aan ben ik aan toch. Aan ben ik on, I'm on. Wat een schot van houtbak. Ja, ik moet even snel naar divisie 1 man. Want de hele tijd ging ik een beetje verkeerd spelen, maar nu moet ik hem even halen. Last match, last points. Ik moet gelijk spelen of winnen. We gaan altijd voor de winst nu.
guy because it's a lot easier to break down than pages. Now, before I proceed, let me make it clear. I'm going to be analyzing Guy's abilities when using the 7th gate and 8th gate, and the reason for this is because the 6th gate and below are not... 6th gate was only enough for Guy to take out a 30% power clone of Kisame, and I think it goes without saying that is nowhere near the level that they at. If Guy intends to win here, he has to start from at least gate 7. Now, obviously, I have a question to answer, and that is how strong is Guy when he opens the 7th gate? Well, it's a little bit hard to say because he hasn't used it on many occasions. And even in the rare cases where he has decided to use gate 7, it's been very difficult to tell just how strong he is with it open. I'll start with and that is a fact. The main piece of evidence I'm going to use to prove this is Gaara's reaction to seeing Guy fight Madara. Gaara doesn't just say, wow, Guy is really fast or anything like that. He specifically says Guy's movements are inhuman. Now, I brought this up in battle videos in the past, but in case you haven't heard me mention Gaara has fought alongside Naruto, who when using Sage mode was capable of reacting to and dodging an attack from the 3rd Raikage, and when using his Kyuubi Chakra mode was capable of avoiding a full speed attack from the 4th Raikage. And while you could say that the Naruto Gaara was fighting alongside was weakened because it was only a shadow clone, it wasn't Naruto's actual body, Gaara has also fought alongside the 4th Raikage A. It's also worth pointing out that in the fight I'm talking about, the 5 Kage versus Madara, A had his speed increased by Onoki's lightweight boulder jutsu, and now I don't know how much faster this made it, but Madara seems pretty comfortable with dealing with the penalty. But he was clearly really surprised. Now this isn't definitive proof that Guy is faster than Naruto or the right kind. Relative to them or in the same league as them, meaning that it's just really hard to argue that any of the paths of pain would be fast enough to keep up with him. Now as for his attack power, this is a lot less clear cut because you don't have a whole lot of statements to draw from. But Guy's speeds concerning attack potency in the 7th gate are pretty crazy. As a matter of fact, he has some pretty incredible 6th gate speeds as well. The craziest thing Guy has done while in the 6th gate is use a Sakujaku to stun one of the tail's beams, citing it to 6 tails. And now it's really scary to imagine just how strong Guy is with the 7th gate. Attack potency that exists between the 6th and 7th, which, let's remind you, is so large that 6th gate Guy was just able to deal with 30% of Kisame's strength, whereas 7th gate Guy was able to soundly defeat a full-power Kisame while pulling back in order to prevent himself from killing him. That's one thing that many people seem to gloss over when talking about how strong Guy is with the 7th gate open. But yeah, like I said, Guy didn't want to kill Kisame as he wanted to be able to interrogate him after the battle. And speaking of Guy's battle with Kisame, I haven't even mentioned the Yuri. Guy was able to stun one of the tail beasts with Sakujaku, which is a great deal weaker than the Yuri. With all this in mind, you could potentially argue that with the Gate of Wonder open, Guy borders on his tail beast level in strength. Now while it sounds ridiculous, it's not an incredibly far-fetched claim to make, as the Yuri creates an explosion so large that it makes Turtle Island look tiny by comparison. Guy was also able to knock a Susanoo-clad Madara back with it, which is extremely impressive, as Madara was surprised by the fact that Tsunade was capable of breaking through his ribcage. Granted, Guy didn't shatter Madara's humanoid Susanoo, but I mean, this panel is way too awesome for me to ignore. I'm not entirely sure how well it speaks to Guy's capabilities, but it looks really, really cool to say the very least. As for his stamina and durability, both of these are incredibly high. Guy was able to use the Sakujaku back to back when fighting Kisame and showed negligible signs of strain, meaning that using the HP up to the 7th energy and the techniques that come with opening them doesn't seem to have too many negative effects on him. There aren't a whole lot of instances throughout the series that show off his durability, but the best one I can think of is the time that he taints the explosion created by launching a Yuri point blank into Madara's face with, like, borderline no injuries at all. This is the same attack that nearly killed Kisame while Guy was holding back. Same guy that survived having his chest literally ripped open by bees, and the only thing that really ended up happening was he got knocked unconscious for a couple seconds, but after he woke up, he just said, oh yeah, my ribs hurt a little bit, and my arm was fine. Now, obviously, Guy isn't invincible, and he can't use all of the gates up to the 7th indefinitely, otherwise he would just walk around with the 17 or more always jump straight to the gate of wonder instead of opening the gate of joy first like he has on multiple occasions. But I can imagine that it takes a lot for him to run out of stamina. He'll certainly be able to use the gate for longer than Naruto.
I was saying so spell
So I don't know how the boost that Naruto is from Satan. Anyway, now let's move on and analyze Guy's ability for the 8th gate. I almost think that this portion isn't really necessary because Guy's needs of the 8th gate speak for themselves. Now, I know I said this battle didn't involve any Uchiha, but unfortunately, I am gonna have to mention an Uchiha now in order to communicate how strong Guy's the 8th gate is. I'm sorry, I understand. Plenty of people are really upset right now, but it has to be done. So, after opening the 8th gate, which took significantly less time in the manga than the anime, by the way, I've seen many people discuss Guy versus Pain and say that Pain wouldn't like to open the 8th gate because it takes too much time, but no. The 8th gate took a couple of panels to first open for Guy in the manga, and that was after he already conquered his heart. It takes no time at all for him to enter the state, so let's just make that clear from the get-go. Anyway, with the 8th gate open, Guy is an absolute monster, capable of damaging Madara with Sekiro, the evening element, a taijutsu technique that isn't anywhere close to the strongest attack. He is also able to put what I presume is a basic punch. It may have been the evening element punch Madara so hard that he broke through the true orb barrier he had created around himself. When I first saw this, I thought this was crazy and that it propelled Guy into a whole tier of overpowered because the truth-seeking orb barriers are no joke. See, with the truth-seeking orb shield, Obito was able to deflect a Senjutsu-enhanced tail beast bomb along with a Senjutsu-enhanced Susano arrow at the same time. Now, I know what many people's first response to this is, and that is, but wait, anything that they are molded in to nullify all ninjutsu, right? And that is true with the exception of Sage Jutsu or Senjutsu enhanced attacks. This looks really impressive at first until you realize that there are multiple versions of the truth-seeking orb barriers that Obito and Madara have used. The barrier that blocks the Susano arrow and Tail bomb combination was one composed of all of Obito's truth-seeking orbs, meaning that it was significantly stronger than the barrier Madara created, which was only composed of 3. So, while it is still impressive that Guy broke through it, it's not as impressive as some people seem to think. I mean, there's really almost no point in trusting that anyway, because I'm pretty sure that everybody can agree if Guy lands a single punch on any of the Sycophants of Pain, they're probably going to go down immediately. He's likely capable of one-shotting all of them, though the Sycophants might be an exception, and I'll get into that more when I talk about Pain's abilities. Now, like I said, the evening element was capable of damaging Madara, so I'm pretty sure that it goes without saying that one shot from any of these is definitely going to be more than enough to take out any of the paths of Pain. The problem is, Guy cannot use these endlessly because his stamina and durability with the 8th gate open decreased significantly. Just launching an evening element barrage started breaking his bones, and the act of moving around with the 8th gate open caused I'm not sure how much pain, but the thing is excruciating. So, yeah, it's really hard for Guy to do any of these things. Now, the point that I'm trying to get across by saying all of this is that I don't think Guy has an infinite amount of evening elements that he can launch. Not to mention, you can only leave the 8th gate open for so long before dropping dead. In the manga, he only fought Madara for maybe 2 or 3 chapters before the effects of opening the 8th gate wore off. So he really doesn't have a whole lot of time to do anything against Pain in this state. But again, he also does not have an infinite number of evening elements he can launch. And since we've established that his regular punches are not Susano arrow, tail beast bomb combined level, it is possible to argue that
man, follow me.
Like one of Guy's
Wolf motivated. YouTube.
Again, I'll get more into that later when I talk about Pain's capability, but it's just worth realizing that Guy does have limits with the 8th gate open. I don't want to wank it too heavily, but also I don't want to downplay it. If you were to charge up a night Guy and land it on any of the paths of Pain, they would be dead immediately, and there's nothing they would be able to do about it. Now, it is pretty safe to assume that Pain would not let Guy charge up the night Guy.
Yeah, right now I don't do.
But the anime caused that scene to last for a long time. As in the manga, Guy only took a couple panels to try to do the final attack, as opposed talking about right now is really only relevant when speaking about it relative to Kane's own abilities, so let's start analyzing his things. But first, let me make a quick note. While I don't intend for my Kane analysis to take longer than my guy analysis did, I will say right out of the gate, like I mentioned earlier on in the video, explaining how strong Kane is a lot more difficult than Guy. And that is because, unlike Guy, Kane does not rely on brute force. He relies on a very versatile moveset and a very specific variety of ways. Now, this video is like 50 million hours long. I'm going to
it is the wins, not the under the VZ3. Let's go.
I've already made a video about doing that, so if you want to know everything that Kane is capable of, you can just go watch that and then come back here with stuff. When analyzing Guy, I mentioned pretty much everything he has up his sleeve because he's probably
that's how you do it.
Things cannot be said because a lot of his jutsu can only be used in particular situations and against particular enemies. For example, the Kratos Pass will be pretty much used in this fight as he won't be able to absorb any of Guy's projectile attacks, and holding Guy in place will be next to impossible because of how strong he is. Now, first off, the path that I think is going to give Guy the most trouble is the animal path, and this is because Guy has no way to be able to summon himself. While Naruto was able to use stage mode to sense the locations of any of the animals that this path summons, Guy won't be able to do the same thing, and that's incredibly problematic because of the chameleon. Now, I don't recall the chameleon being this fast when the 6 paths of Kane used it, so maybe it's stronger when being used by single body Nagato or something, although that doesn't really make sense. But anyway, when Nagato used it against Naruto and B, it was fast enough to get behind B without him noticing. And now I know I said in the Caution versus B video, and B is fast, but he's not that fast. What I meant wasn't that B is slow or whatever. He's incredibly fast. He's almost as fast as the Raikage as he needs to be for them to sync up the dual areas that they perform. So B is still pretty fast, and the fact that this chameleon was able to nearly blitz him is pretty impressive.
Oh, by the person one.
Anyway, I kind of got off track there. Point is, this chameleon can turn invisible and move really, really fast, and it will create problems for Guy. If he focuses too heavily on fighting the other paths of Kane, he might get swept from behind by this chameleon, assuming, of course, he is in the 7th G. Most of what I am going to be talking about is assuming that Guy is in the 7th G. Once I start talking about Guy activating the 8th G, I will make it clear. Another one of the animals that might give Guy some trouble is the real big bird that the animal path can summon, because this allows him to fly, and Guy can't do that. And since he is a dominant type, however, I don't know if Guy is capable of spamming Kyusora, and he might only be able to use it a set number of times before exhausting himself. Same also goes for Sakujaku, so he might have to use things carefully. That being said, spamming it in order to damage the animal path while he's flying in the air atop this bird is really not a good idea. Maybe it'll end just fine for Guy, who knows. Anyway, for the rest of my analysis, I'll try not to speak about Guy so much, since this is the main section and it's not the where they fight section. But I just think it is worth mentioning how Kane will implement these things in the fight. Next up, the Antra path will be able to fire missiles and laser beams and all of this other crazy shit from a distance, which will be really good for cornering Guy and pinning him down so that the deep path can use one of his abilities, or the animal path can use one of his summons against him, or that the Fredo or human path can get in really close and either extract his soul in the case of the human path, or absorb his chakra in the case of the Fredo path. Now, if Guy gets close enough to the Optima path to touch it, it's fucked, because if Sage Naruto was capable of one-shotting it, and Kakashi was capable of shutting it down with a Raikiri, a couple punches and kicks from the 7th gate Guy is definitely going to do damage. It might not fully destroy it, depending on how strong the 7th gate Guy is. Again, if he gets close, considering how fast he is, he'll probably be able to take it really quickly. So the Rocket Path won't be able to do shit against Guy. It will pretty much have to stay in the back away from him, and it will be providing the other paths of Kane. And the Fredo they are only going to be able to attack Guy. Most guys go up against because Bancho Tennin and Shinra Tensei are busy. Bancho Tennin is more of a problem here because Guy might be off fighting one of the other paths of Tennin and all of a sudden Zima Path is grabbing with Bancho Tennin. Launched by one of the other paths. Worst case scenario,
spill the bottle and I'll go make an apple.
At which point Guy will have his soul extracted and die. Shinra Tensei is also a pretty big deal here, and now it's no joke, especially not its more powerful variants, like the one that was capable of blowing up all of Konoha, but even the basic lowest level Shinra Tensei was capable of reflecting a rock in it. As a matter of fact, this reflected, it just outright destroyed it, caused it to disappear into nothing. Now, the effectiveness of Shinra Tensei depends on whether or not you think the Rasen Shuriken is stronger than Yudora. Now, the Rasen Shuriken is really difficult to scale because I don't know if it attacks with brute force at all, or if it entirely relies on destroying whatever it touches on itself. But I don't really know about that. Because again, that's entirely the way the rock works, and it doesn't necessarily bomb is strong. Not to mention the fact that the bomb Matsaki is not one of the stronger features like Yuki or Kurama, so that's worth keeping in mind as well. Furthermore, while Shinra Tensei was able to protect me from the rock, it wasn't able to do the same from a single blow from the six-tailed version to close Naruto. And this is where the whole does the Rasen Shuriken rely too heavily on brute force thing becomes relevant, because if you take this into consideration and you only look at this in terms of this thing is stronger than this, therefore meaning that this that would make a single hit stronger than a fusion bomb from Matsaki. It would also mean that six-tailed version of Close Naruto is strong enough to one-shot Taki.
You want this water, of course. You're gonna water, ze spelen met mijn team en ze denken dat ze me kunnen pakken. Ik ben met Vinny op de flanken. And they get bodies, then they're gonna fuck with me, they're gonna give you the big banana in your fucking body. Now you're gonna scream now the body. Nobody. Nobody gonna say you when I come with the big banana in the night. I wanna win this fight.
Now, normally I would say that at the very least,
oh, what do you think? You are gone with the Mbappe. I got Mbappe also, and I'm gone. Oh no, I'm boom! Bombo clat. No bombo clat. No bombo clat in your asshole. No bombo clat. And then you go in the bombo clat in the bombo. Mbappe, it's a thing.
But of course, I've gone this entire time without mentioning Shibata. Just say when he's less real guy who is just
almost good.
Nagato resorting to using Shibata Sensei against Guy after most 7 of the 8 games. I think he really would be that
baas, the champion, the real Madrid, the pony crew, the pony. The juicy people. Boom! Boom! Of course! Betty Ann! I need another beer, man. If you want to talking about.
Now, I really can't see him using this again because he wants to save some strength for when he has to fight Naruto. He came to Konoha and captured the Nine Tails after all, but he has to choose between losing all 6 paths of pain and exhausting some chakra to deal with Guy. He's going to choose the latter. I think that's pretty obvious. Now, alright, I think I've talked about the capabilities of both fighters for long enough, so now let's just answer the $1 million question.
Almost 3, the victory 3!
It's really tricky, and I mean, like incredibly tricky. Even after all that I've been over, I really don't think I can like accurate answer that I am fully confident in. But
Not even yellow. Oh yellow, you give me yellow. You want to take your big man. Just give me yellow. You want to give me yellow.
Naruto gave him trouble. They actually won't
No
be as
problem.
as many. Guy won't
No
be
problem for me, boy.
off guard the way Naruto did with Rock Kumite.
Who?
The ability to use the air or
I'm a
just
big
nature
boy,
in general
you
as
know,
the
the big
extension of
problems.
one's melee attack.
That's a
Naruto
big
pretty much
money to be
destroyed the
raised.
strike attack by using this to his
I'm
advantage
winning.
and catching Kane off guard.
I'm
I
good.
think that this
Good.
is an advantage Guy will not have. Granted, he is capable of punching the air hard enough to weaponize it, but I think Kane will be a lot more prepared for Guy than he was for Naruto.
Hey, keep out. Ah, but you go in the way.
So I'm not sure how well he would be able to handle the animals summoned by the animal man. Naruto was able to just whip it into the air and chuck away like it was nothing. I don't know if Guy is capable of
Hey, guys. Põe o man nessa. Não, põe o man.
And so I am going to introduce you under the assumption that he cannot be.
We'll just find it locked up. We'll just find it locked, you bitch ass nigga. You bitch ass nigga. I'm feeling this fun locked up. Bitch ass nigga.
Guy does not have this advantage. It's the only summon he has access to.
It's nothing, it's nothing. Go play with the big fool. Go play with the big fool.
And against the million and especially the gigantic server is
Go play with the big boy. Go play. Go play. We can play hard.
And unless Guy is capable of using the expansion jutsu and I'm just not aware of it, he won't be able to do the same thing. The only way Guy will be able to
Offside, man. Both is spell, boy. Both is spell. What one good? Okay, what you play? You know this bitch mad because it's my beard. My beard is empty. I got no beard. I need to walk through the podcast.
Well, that's probably the approach that he's going to take, but doing so will be incredibly difficult, like I said. Now, obviously, he won't be completely overwhelmed or overpowered by these animals, but if enough of them are bam! They all are that, and I can't see him falling eventually. He was able to deal with multiple male beasts fighting him at the same time, but he had the support of the Kabuki as well as Naruto. And I don't think that these summons are even
E como que eu conheci? Eu confuso. Eu confundo a vez. Eu confundo o Tony. Eu confundo o menino.
Whether he wins the fight or not really depends on whether he can take the animal attack out early. Next up on his list
Yeah, get your ass down, Mbappé. Get your ass down. I got the view, Mbappé. The view, Mbappé. No fake ass nigga, Mbappé. Oh, you quiet, bitch ass nigga. It's up to you. It's up to you.
When I say quick enough, I mean like really quick. But I fast, don't get me wrong, he's in the same league as the right Sake and Naruto. But I'm not sure he'll be fast enough to catch the Naraka path before it revives the animal path. He might get stuck in an infinite loop here, and I can't see the Naraka path if he doesn't take out the animal path first. Because the animals will all form a blockade in front of him. The other path will be able to set up some combos and make Guy helpless. Something like that. But if he does manage to take out
Fire
the
bad.
then it really won't be too much to take out the other one. The green path and the blue path will be completely total over his ass and on for path.
Where to go, man? Where to go?
Now, I made it very clear that getting to this point will be incredibly difficult for Guy. Because of that, I can't see his stamina holding out for long enough that he can fight the Diva Path one-on-one in the 7th stage after taking out
Vamos dar 10, mano.
and
Vamos dar
manages
10.
to take out all of the other paths of needing except for the
Okay,
Diva Path by the time he does, he wins.
Dude.
Now, I don't think it's very likely that Guy will actually be able to do that, though. I think that some of the other paths
Era thing, mano, velho.
left over when he realizes that the 7th gate isn't enough. I think he'll be completely drained of stamina and he'll be like, look, I need to open up the 8th gate to get myself the energy I need to defeat this guy. Now, in this
I'm not
scenario,
feeling
he's like,
Hey, man, let's play this next year. Nobody just knows this out there. Oh, my pop.
I'm sure that there's absolutely nothing that Pete
Penalty. What?
No matter what happens, if he opens up the
Penalty.
game, Nagato technically wins the battle because
Yeah,
Guy is down, which therefore means Nagato's still alive. Nagato's alive and he's
Pour toi, stop, pour toi, il y a pour toi, game pour toi.
I believe that if Guy sticks to the 7th day, he will most likely he won't be able to overcome the sheer overwhelming might of all six paths. But if he opens up the game, came in
Mbappé, oh, pas le Bédet, pas le Bédet. Ven. Oh, je durft niet, hè. Je durft niet. Kom, allez, je krijgt penalty. Piekie banaan, je hebt net penalty gekregen. De eerste helft was van fire. Yeah.
How's it going, everybody? Hey, how's it going, everybody? Swag Kage here, and today, how's it going, everybody? It's your boy,
So
Swag
big banana boy, follow me everywhere, send me some money. I do this all day, every day. You know, I didn't come like many days because I'm always done. You know, but I need more money. I need more money. You know, I need millions.
I don't know what to call it that, but it's gonna be like a multi-part series. But I'm not really you know.
Keep it real, yo.
By the way,
Peace and love. Like a big banana boy. I do also meditation, you know.
Yeah, like
that was back when
Orochimaru
But yeah, I'm your people boss. So you can get me, you can watch it.
And it was like, oh, wait, this is like a real possibility now. It went from like something Orochimaru wants to do to something that Orochimaru might.
Mbappé, kom op man,
And
Mbappé.
I always thought it was really cool.
Ja, dan gaat hij fluiten, dan gaat hij fluiten.
What would happen if he actually succeeded?
Oh,
I think everybody can agree that
Mbappé, tuurlijk. Wat? Scheids. En dan fluit je niet, hè. En dan fluit je niet. Kan ik komen aan scheids spelen. Dan moet je niet veel komen, dan moet je niet veel komen. Dat ze die bal gebruiken, joh. Boom, rennen, Philly, passen. Tuurlijk. Ah, iets harder. Hoog. Laat op gek doorzien, Maar geen probleem, want we gaan naar divisie 2. Gewoon als het zo blijft, wat zo blijft. We gaan meer scoren. Nee, ga liggen. Ga. Niks aan daar. Willy, roepen. Hey, scheids. Dat mag ook. Oké, kijk hoe ver die komt. Nee! Oké, dat was een mooie doelpunt. Kan niet, dat is een mooie doelpunt. Ik vond het hem niet. Dus het is gewoon dit. Rustig. Kom op. Boele. Paap. Stop hem naar midden. Paap, schieten. Alles was perfect bijna. Alleen die afronding van Mbappé, man. Mbappé.
Like, I don't think that's the right way to look at it. Orochimaru was interested in taking Spooky.
Nee, ik weet niet.
Right, like,
Jullie mag niet weg gaan kopen.
yeah, exactly. Like,
Yuzu, we hebben die punten nodig.
Like, when he was
Ja,
at the top of the
niet zo.
game, had everything stay ready to go, you know, all this stuff. He still wanted Sasuke to come train with him. So he was fun.
We moeten zekerheid hebben voor de winst. Kom op, Mbappé. Bam! Oh, hoe heb ik geluk daar.
Following his arms getting sealed, I think he still would have been powered up by getting his Sasuke's fight. I don't see, like, why did we get weaker? It would be really
Belly.
you know, so, like, where
Hij heeft ook een andere aanpak, denk ik. Een snellere speler. Ik ga het boeren weghalen. Hij wordt niet. Tuurlijk, militaal gouden verdediger. Braziliano. Zeg toch.
But like even then, like even if we assume that like that's the level that he's at, he's still stronger than all-time Sake.
Tuurlijk, en Mbappé, doe je ding, bro. Doe je ding. Kijk, bam. Oh, hij laat hem niet schieten.
Yeah, exactly.
Dat is wel.
Obviously, he trusts the body after years of training so far to Sasuke, and yeah, I mean Sasuke was like already.
Oh, really good. What a goal, Seth! What a goal! What a magnificent goal! Celebrating!
Like you look at it in the context of like what you know about Naruto up to that point, and this guy is like pretty scary. And like you know he blitzes Yamato, right? Like Yamato can't do anything about it. His exact words in response to seeing Sasuke move are he's fast, so he's already way above Jonin. And then like shortly after this, like this same Naruto.
Oh, play the fucking game, man. You wanna win or lose? What you gonna lose? Really good.
Naruto still doesn't think he's caught Sasuke yet. After he kills Kakuzu with the Rasengan. And this is pre-Orochimaru absorbing Sasuke too. Like Naruto doesn't know that he's gotten stronger yet. So, right, that's true. Plus, I mean, I know this is a weird argument to make, but even though he barely Kakuzu is Deidara with Orochimaru absorptions, the only thing that made him add in is a tiny power boost extra stamina and resistance. So even like being Sasuke with the Sharingan after he started training would still put up
Tuurlijk.
Like the thing is, like the only way Deidara wins that fight is by killing himself. So it's not really even a double, it's like a double KO. And like before that happened, Sasuke was like if he had every advantage, Deidara was on the back foot. You know, like he couldn't do anything to Sasuke, so like he like straight up like rage quit DC from the Magic Killer Show. I mean, he actually got like so mad, started laughing and pulled himself up. So yeah, so I think it's like Deidara at that point, like you know,
Mbappé back up.
that's like fine, but at the same time, Sasuke pre-Orochimaru absorption isn't going out like a jump, you know. So the interesting thing about this, I think, too, is that Sasuke later said himself that Orochimaru, without like any sickness to worry about, would have been stronger than him. Like he wouldn't have been able to handle that, and that Orochimaru's sickness was the only reason he was able to overpower him. Yeah, exactly. So, this implies that this same Sasuke that we've been jerking off for the past 5 minutes is like still inferior to base no Sharingan Orochimaru.
Yeah.
So, like now that we haven't even gotten the actual like Uchiha and that he gets yet. So like this that we've been talking about, you know, like it moves.
Sides penalty, man.
Further up. Like now Orochimaru is even stronger than that. So then you take this guy who's like stronger, like pretty significantly, because like it would have to be like by a significant margin for Sasuke to be like, yeah, I straight up couldn't have killed him if he wasn't sick, right? Like it wasn't like, oh, it would have been a close fight, or I think I could have done it. It was like, no, he would have beaten me. So like I think that the difference would have been fairly large. So you take that, and now okay, so the Orochimaru is probably a problem that like the whole Akatsuki would be worried about right now. Now people like opening Akatsuki can probably still handle this Orochimaru, like they can without the camps, but then Now you get him like a Sharingan and like all this other stuff, like just the base Sharingan, no Mangekyo yet, but it's like, well now he starts to get a little bit like scary. Now he starts to turn into a little bit of a problem, and it's hard to like place him, like power scale wise, like where he'd be here, because like I mean you could just say, oh, he gets like a standard Sharingan amp, but I don't think it's that simple because like I think that Sasuke was like it's hard to explain. Like I don't know if I could say that Sasuke was like physically more powerful or anything like that than like Prime Orochimaru, but I think he gets a lot out of just like having like his Yamaha and like the Sharingan, like and all this stuff. Like I think that it's like Orochimaru was able to adjust to the new bodies that he took really quickly. Like that one guy, like the one with the white hair, they in the part one, like that, like you don't see like any of him in Shippuden, like Orochimaru just turned that body into his own by then. So I think it would be worse than like a Sharingan buff. I think like Orochimaru would take all of Sasuke's abilities with lightning affinity and like really, you know, like take advantage of them and push them to their limits. Right, it's not like he's making a Kakashi body with like the Sharingan. Yeah, exactly. I'm talking about, yeah, man, if you get, like, body, not only would you, like, destroy the life of Kage, but, like, the entire continent counts down for you. And, I mean, like, you remember the discussion right off that, like, yeah, that makes sense. And I actually think that whether or not Orochimaru is relevant in this scenario, because like assuming that Orochimaru successfully takes on his body, the first thing we have to worry about is Kakashi's like there. Like plus one at his hideout, Kakashi is showing up, and he's like, "Yo, Orochimaru, I'm just gonna like walk out of the very next spot." Yeah, exactly. Like getting locked down. And now I think that even if you give Orochimaru like all of the benefits and the part of the day that he takes out Kakashi because like now depending on how you want to interpret the ties between Shiva Master and be able to assume that like Orochimaru trained in between last period of time and got significantly more powerful. But it's unquantifiable, so I mean like it's kind of hard to say whether or not the possibility of both. The fact is that Orochimaru tried to fight Itachi, little baby kid Itachi, and got bodied, like he got beat so bad that he literally had to quit Itachi. And the amount of training that you want to say Orochimaru did to get stronger, you obviously have to apply to Itachi, and Itachi was a lot younger, so his room for improvement was, of course, a lot greater. Now, granted, this is a substantial amp, but it's an amp, like, all of a sudden he'd be able to, like, win. Like that was a really big, like, gap in power that, like, that was present there. Like, Orochimaru went from wanting to steal Itachi's body, like, that being his, like, goal, to, like he gets caught in one genjutsu and suddenly Like, he's not about any of it anymore.
Yeah, he's just like that one dude that just disappears. You know?
Yeah. So, like, I think that Itachi's probably still out of his grasp. Sick Itachi is, like, a little bit different because, like, yeah, he's not physically that much of a threat, but you do still have to worry about Susanoo and, like, what Orochimaru be able to outlast Itachi's very limited stamina and, like, not get stabbed by the Focus Blade. It's kind of like, I don't know, man. And, like, Pain was also, like, I mean, I've talked about it so many times before, but, like, Pain was also Naruto in there, like, every bit of data you could possibly had on Pain, Sage Mode, and Prep Time, like, Wukong in the background gathering Sage energy. Nine-Tailed Chakra was done with because Hinata almost died. Ito restored the Chakra. Pain had spawned the whole village and blown up the whole village and wasn't in the Rain village, so was weaker. Like, all these things, Naruto was barely scraped by, right, with W. So, like, the guy's a monster, you know, you gotta take the body.
Boy,
Yeah, I know I don't think Orochimaru is quite there yet, at least not without some training. I think that, like, with enough time, like with Sasuke's body, I think that maybe he could push himself to that level, because it's not like he's a chump or whatever, but it's that, like, people, like, at that strength, it's just like with a base Sharingan, I don't see Orochimaru being able to pull it off. What do you think?
No, I agree with you. I mean, we'll talk about some other enemies, possibly in a second, but, like, right now where we're at, without, like, training, body modification, or possibly, you know, higher versions of the Sharingan, I don't think we can do it. I mean, you know, you can take out guys like, you know, the Raikage, and be, like, around that area, he was already, you know, around that area, he was out with Sasuke's body, so, you know, when they, like, Sasuke, like, that's interesting, I think how you were right with your Sasuke, he was fine, fucking Orochimaru was Sasuke. Oh, that's funny. I mean, Edon talking like, I mean, we'll talk about that again.
Yeah, well, I think that Orochimaru takes out, like, all of them, like, pretty much everybody except for, like, Obito, Pain, and Itachi get handled, like, all the Kage are done. Obviously, like, Naruto, Kakashi, and then, like, who cares?
Nice.
I think that, probably not, you know, Kabuto did beat her, so, no, like, before people get mad, like, yeah, there's, like, the whole blood, like, phobia thing, but, like, she still lost to Kabuto, so, that's still on the record. It's not like stricken. Yes, she was like nerfed, but like she still lost to Kabuto, Orochimaru's henchman. Like, I think Orochimaru was Sasuke and Pokemon.
Orochi, you know, that butter is the television.
Her fingers get louder, her crazy, but like I don't see it.
Right. Okay, seriously.
We can also talk about, like, Jiraiya too. Like, a lot of people see Orochimaru and Jiraiya as, like, rivals. Realistically, I think Orochimaru is stronger because, like, I've talked about this before, and I talked to MJ about it before we started recording. Jiraiya's state, and he almost got killed by Four-Tail Naruto, and then, like, Orochimaru just
older version of the same Naruto, and they're fine. So even if you assume both versions of Four-Tail Naruto equal, Orochimaru's performance is just blatantly superior to Jiraiya's here. So, now granted, right, and like safe mode, but I don't know, something tells me Orochimaru's not that much get to safe mode.
Well, not to mention in part one, I know, like, the whole thing with Jiraiya and all that stuff, it's like, he wasn't even, like, thought of when they're like, oh yeah, Naruto was like coming after the students, and you know they're like, only Naruto was here. Like only, like no one even like wants to like say, hey Jiraiya, like look at your homeboy here, but like,
Yeah, like Jiraiya was there, like training Naruto, and they're just like, oh man, if Minato was here. Yeah.
or like you know, oh talking like a few years younger, you know, or something like that. But it's just, yeah, like he's not even making the equation to combat like Orochimaru and
He
stuff.
could bring up to like get rid of the sound core barrier. I don't know, that's kind of
He just like, yeah, I guess I have to handle this myself.
yeah, like Jiraiya's like, hey, nah, oh, only I have some help. And he's just like, oh, okay.
Okay, like Jiraiya aside, let's go back to Itachi, because one thing that we have to bring up is Itachi wasn't necessarily getting a lot of Sasuke when he was sick. So the idea here is that he would most likely be devastated, right? He would wake up ready to go.
Yeah, I think that like bloodlust Itachi probably takes this Orochimaru to town. And it's not like a situation where he's fighting a bunch of people at once and his stamina gives out. Like he just has to kill Orochimaru is the thing. So yeah, I know it takes the blade DGs at the moment. It's kind of but I think it actually applies here in the pain same deal Shiraku Tensei DG. Now it gets a little more interesting, I think, when you give him the Mangekyo Sharingan, because that's like a big, big, like just having the Mangekyo Sharingan made Sasuke in his base like equal to, no, stronger than, according to Kari, his Curse Seal 2 state, which is, according to Jirobo, 10 times amp. I think more than 10 times amp, if I'm remembering correctly, and Kimaru and Sasuke have the strongest curse seals. So this, of course, means that Sasuke has an unquantifiably higher than 10 times amp, just for being stunned on after unlocking one decade. That's huge for Orochimaru, right? Now the question is like, how would he be able to do it? Because I don't know if he's he's a pretty like sociopathic, like emotionally detached. I don't know what the problem is. Maybe just the joy of finally accomplishing his goals and being a Sharingan would be so strong that he just like get MS immediately after getting Sasuke's body. I don't know, but like that side, you kind of have to use your imagination to think of how he gets it. But let's just assume that he has it. So I still don't know if he would be able to be like a full power Itachi, but I don't think that him being like 6 Itachi is out of question, you know, like especially with all this, like especially when it's not like MS Sasuke or 5 power Sasuke.
The baas van FIFA is er.
With 5 copies from Sasuke's powers versus Itachi.
The baas met de baby.
You would like the Itachi thing where like, oh, he's the one who like on the return, because like technically he is, but he's in Sasuke's body, it's not transformed. You know, like he's fine, and we also talked about this before, but even if you want to give the Raikage every benefit of the doubt possible, like after his fight with Sasuke, where Sasuke got like ambushed by the way, taken completely by surprise, that fight was going to end with a dying because he could jump straight into the Marashi. I don't know whether he would have broken through the Sushin or not, but even if you say he would have, he still would have died. So like Sasuke there would have like tied with the Raikage. And like we already explained why like Orochimaru in base is stronger than that. So like you give him all of Sasuke's tools, and it's like yeah, like now he's not even on like not even the same tier, he's not even on the Kage's grade right now, right? So say Kage are on his grade. It's really just a question of whether or not he can deal with these like really high tier members. And I think that he probably can, right? Because he's like, so he's got like, and now it's nothing like again, but like he's got the Susanoo mode, right? Like he's got like Sasuke's like base camp. He's got all of his other stuff. Like I imagine Edo Tensei would be usable now. He could probably use every chapter nature if he wants, but you know at the very least he can use lightning and fire pretty easily.
I just thought about something.
Yeah.
Imagine Itachi, like sick Itachi, coughing up blood or hanging out his chest, going up against like Orochimaru with MS, like 5,000 summit Sasuke powers with the Susanoo over him, guarding him, and then he has like Tobirama and Hashirama in front of the Susanoo.
Yeah, like if you give him like Edo Tensei there, it's like like I don't know. like it is so like if the Susanoo's fully evolved, like I think Itachi's done for. Pain is like I'm pretty sure if you give Orochimaru Edo Tensei, he can definitely do it. Like with no Edo Tensei, it's like questionable, but like with them there or like with other people he wants to revive there, like now I don't think he has to worry about the Itachi anymore. So if he gets MS, I actually think Orochimaru just like eats the game and like takes over the world. Because who do you have to worry about? Like I guess, and like it depends on how strong you think Obito is at that point, I guess. So like if you look at Sasuke's fight with Anjo, like Sasuke's struggling, but he's eventually able to win. But like Obito's just sitting there like, I can just go in any time we've got all these crazy feats of like Jinchuriki or like a moon to Genjutsu. Like the first time we learned about this, and specifically in response to a Sharingan Genjutsu, Obito just like controls Yasuo for years.
Bam, 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 bam.
Like it's so convincing and so thorough. Like I already know what jutsu is. Like actually just regular Mangekyou Genjutsu is like and that's the big thing too, right? Is like the comedy part. Like how do you hit me? I don't think Orochimaru would even be able to like fucking damage me.
This is 7 times. I think once after the fight and once after the fight probably similar. But Obito mentions to Isetsu like, Sasuke is out of hand, like he's like something like that. So you know he's not afraid of like taking on any version of Sasuke at that point. He's used to knowing the area
the best of the world.
Kage Summit too, and that means he's just like fine with dealing with the MS Sasuke with like more kind of
I mean, dude, I know we're talking about like maybe here that Obito could possibly lose depending on what you give Orochimaru, but at the end of the day, dog, Obito is someone who showed up and like started battling like multiple versions of Casey and Naruto. Like was sitting down straight to the fucking face, or lots of shurikens to the face. He's getting thrown around all over the battlefield. Took on most of the alliance by himself, which took a lot of scenes, especially the general models to watch.
Well,
And then this dude is just getting like thrown around, fights Kakashi, gets stabbed multiple times, gets his body like Zetsu weird thing going on. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, like so you know that thing like where like all the Shuriken guys they have war and taken out. Obito has 9 of them taken out at the same time. No, it's not 9. I guess we have
like thrown around, fights Kakashi, gets stabbed multiple times, gets his body like Zetsu weird thing going on. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, like so you know that thing like where all the Shuriken guys they have in war and taken out. Obito has 9 of them taken out at the same time. Well, no, it's not 9. I guess I'm actually at confusion from so technically only have 7 taken out ones. 8 if you also count the 10 tails as a separate entity. But the point is like a pretty like devastating procedure.
Just do 1 9, bro.
Yeah,
how
you have to shoot him with her like insta-kill like attack that like disintegrates you for him to die.
The interesting thing about this is if like this version of Orochimaru kills Itachi, Itachi takes his eyes, you have the Orochimaru with Itachi's eyes, you have all the other training and modification to the body from
Well, yeah, so that's the other thing. I guess we didn't even talk about EMS, right? Like, if he has EMS and he's EMS Sasuke level, I think then, like with Edo Itachi, yeah, oh, just yeah. So like the base MS Orochimaru, like no Edo's struggles against Obito, but yeah, like if he's actually already killed Itachi, Obito has a really hard time, and by a really hard time, I mean loses. But where we're back to go is that we need praise the now. So yeah, I'll let you continue. My bad. I just thought of
Oh, no, yeah, you're fine. We should talk about that. But, you know, he talked his eyes and everything, like I just said. And it just escaped me probably for just the fact that when he said,
Fuck, bro, you're fucking up.
he's like, I am really testing out a hypothesis. Like, for
Oh, fuck, you're fucking people.
And we were talking about an experiment
Oh, look at the big banana. Fuck it.
So, Orochimaru has years of learning on, experimentation and training and stuff like that. So, if he gets the really job, he really can do it.
Gewoon nou fake van spelen.
Because like it's not like he has to like steal it from Naruto, which he could do. But it's not like that's the only avenue he has. Because if he gets Sasuke's body, he like this falls in his lap. Like he's like the luckiest guy ever. Like he just gets the body of the reincarnation of Indra. And he uses some Hashirama cells and they're like boom. Right? Because he's like he made Yamato, he gave Gonzo the Izaki, so like he's fine, right? All he has to do is just inject some like Hashirama chakra like into his vein. Like he doesn't even have to do like the wood style surgery, because you know that there's maybe some people that are gonna be like, well, why doesn't he use wood style then? Because like we know the procedure like kills people or whatever. Like maybe he doesn't even have to do that. Maybe he just like injects like some of Hashirama's chakra into his body or whatever. But like when he has the Rinnegan, and he doesn't have any of the stamina problems that Obito did. He can use both of them fine because those are not his Rinnegan, like in his.
Come out, bitches.
So I think even if he has like the Rinnegan, I legit do still see like Prime, Madara, and Hashirama probably being able to like take him out. But like, where are they? Like they're gone. Like nobody brought them back, and like who the fuck would? Orochimaru certainly wouldn't. He doesn't need like them. Hell, and at this point anyway, Orochimaru probably knows better than to try and go get Hashirama like out of the Reaper's belly. So like he wouldn't do that. Like there's really no chance. I mean, Madara is like maybe Orochimaru do it, but like I don't know. And I think Edo Madara could probably still maybe handle like I don't know, no, like because this Orochimaru is really strong and I mean like as like Madara, I don't think that Edo Madara would be able to do it. Like if he had a perfect Susanoo, then yeah, I think that's GG for like everybody.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, at that point, you might need, and I think the beginning of saying this, you might need like 2 tails, 2 characters, and like 6 past papers to actually take them out.
No, like straight up, because so like I think the best way to like put it is like you imagine like Sage Kabuto, like how strong he was, right? And then you imagine that he's like even stronger to begin with. And then you give him a Rinnegan, and you say that that's his Rinnegan.
You know what's a good way of looking at it?
Yeah.
Is you take Perusi, who had probably one of the best showcases in the entire world, like alongside of Naruto and them.
Yeah.
You have like Perusi, right? Old man Perusi, 100% full power, doesn't go back. Give him the perfect Susanoo. Give him all of the Rinnegan abilities. Give him the Sage Mode dance. Give him the EMS dance. Poison resistance, he can regenerate.
I mean, yeah, and like he's also bloodlusted all the time, has like no more pumping, and like doesn't have like the doesn't have the Edo Tensei name, but also probably still has like unlimited chakra anyway because he has crazy stamina because he's Orochimaru.
Did we at least ignore, like, should we stop, should we be like, nah, yeah, all this is just makeup, yeah, you just beat by Sakatashi.
Boom, boom,
It makes me want to say he even gets the win, but is it really? Like, he's in Sasuke's body, so it's like...
Yeah, I mean, also, like you mentioned before we even started recording this, that Kabuto's statement about being tired of emotion bounding down to him may not even be capped because that Kabuto by that point should have knowledge of the Rinnegan because they mentioned years of experimentation, so it's like...
I think that what would happen is he would try to mess around with Hashirama's chakra, and then boom, the Rinnegan would just happen.
The Rinnegan would just happen, yeah. I mean, that you mentioned earlier, a lot of this... like, whatever Itachi's course of action is, shapes up, like, this entire life because, again, Orochimaru hides out in his able to train, you know, modify Sasuke's body, you know, does the Hashirama injections, attack war, etc. Like, or Itachi shows up straight up, like, soon as he takes Sasuke's body and then Orochimaru gets clapped. He doesn't get a chance to do all that shit. You know, so he really depends on like Itachi's course of action. Because he may just pull up to their hideout and just do what he did with like Kabuto, like and she really activate that so you know just do it, you know. So
I think the only thing that's really like iffy is whether or not you can get safe mode. I don't think that it's that outrageous. But if you want to throw that away, I still think he's like borderline unstoppable. Like if you give him some like things like that, you need like a 6-pass character. Before that, I don't know. Like if maybe like you could probably still handle him with like full power Hashirama and stuff. But like once you get him to safe mode, that's when he's like completely untouchable by like regular characters.
yeah.
I think also too, like at this point, if Orochimaru does get safe mode, he's probably gonna go like round up the remaining Biju because like what's stopping him from like running up on Naruto and getting the mind field and get Omato? Because now we have Rinnegan, so we can summon it. So what's stopping him from seeing the 8 billion mind field and get Omato and getting 6-pass power of his own and it literally being unstoppable?
I mean, I guess we've talked enough about this idea is that, but realistically, if you don't count Rinnegan, you don't count safe mode, you know, most of Rinnegan, Orochimaru is probably like Sakatachi level, maybe a little bit higher. So, yeah, I think that's like the realistic level. But we're gonna give him a Rinnegan safe mode, and
that's what you get much.
you can amp him up to like full power Madara, like 2,000
and I hope you guys had fun. But I misspoke so many times this video. Bye everybody.
Yeah, but I'm keeping this in the other. Yeah.
Sides. It's very interesting. Very interesting.
So this topic is extremely fun. I tried to record this a while ago, and I remember thinking, I was like, I remember it got complicated, but how it got complicated is escaping me. And then I started talking to him about it before we actually sat down to record, and every single time we got past one point, one of us was like, oh, but what about this? And what about that? And so on and so forth. So, if this video is really long, that's why. The topic is just like, like there are so many more factors than I originally expected when the thought first came to mind. right? I think the same is true for 6. We were both shocked by how much is ballooned into different, like, decision trees and, like, choose your own adventure.
It's literally like you go down one path, and then that path branches off into 3 different paths. And then each of those paths have 3 different paths to go along with that. It's like a constant rabbit hole, like multiverse theory type thing we're going down here.
Yeah, and so I also want to clarify too, because the title may have misled some of you. Granted, this is not a Dragon Ball video, so maybe you didn't expect it, but we're not doing that kind of what if video, alright? This is not like a story or anything like that. We're like analyzing the premise and trying to figure out what the most likely outcome would be, not necessarily like constructing the narrative. I mean, I guess we are kind of doing that, but that's not like at the core of the video, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So, do you just want to like get started right at chapter 550 or whatever?
Yeah, 550 I think is where Naruto and B start fighting Naruto and Itachi. And so this is basically where like the timeline is going to branch off, is this fight right here. So for those of you who need a quick recap, Naruto and B ran into Nagato and Itachi in the original series, and they almost got killed by Nagato alone, and were saved at the last second by Itachi after he broke free from Kabuto's control thanks to Kodo Matsukami. He planted Shisui's eye inside of Naruto and gave it a very specific sequence of events under which it would like emerge from Naruto, activate the eye, and it was supposed to target Sasuke, but it ended up affecting Itachi instead. So, in this timeline, we're just going to assume that either Naruto doesn't have the Kodo Matsukami Pro, or Itachi gave a different command, but literally everything else is exactly the same. I don't want a butterfly effect from that specifically.
Yeah. I think it's better if we just say that Naruto doesn't have the
550 I think is where Naruto and B start fighting Naruto and Itachi. And so this is basically where like the timeline is going to branch off, is this fight right here. So for those of you who need a quick recap, Naruto and B ran into Nagato and Itachi in the original series, and they almost got killed by Nagato alone, and were saved at the last second by Itachi after he broke free from Kabuto's control thanks to Kodo Matsukami. He planted Shisui's eye inside of Naruto and gave it a very specific sequence of events under which it would like emerge from Naruto, activate the eye, and it was supposed to target Sasuke, but it ended up affecting Itachi instead. So, in this timeline, we're just going to assume that either Naruto doesn't have the Kodo Matsukami Pro, or Itachi gave it a different command, but literally everything else is exactly the same. And I don't want a butterfly effect from that specifically.
Yeah. I think it's better if we just say that Naruto doesn't have the Pro, because Itachi using his Mangekyo on Naruto and B is likely, especially with Kabuto just wanting to take them out, right? So, yeah, I think it's really just say Naruto doesn't have the Pro.
Under these circumstances, the fight would take place, right? You know, they would start going hands with each other, and Naruto and B would immediately, like, well, I shouldn't say immediately, because they did go back and forth with Itachi and Nagato for a minute. But as soon as Kabuto told Nagato at least to get serious, it was over for Naruto and B. They could not keep up with Nagato. He was massively more powerful than them. They got overwhelmed, and that was just by Nagato. They barely beat Nagato, even with Itachi's help, and now Itachi would be on the other team, right? So, like, the scales would shift so, like, it's hard to convey how much more difficult this is for them. Like, they lose the most powerful member of their team to the other team, they just have no chance. There's no situation where Naruto and B beat the two of them.
Yeah.
I think everybody can agree on that.
It's more like Itachi didn't really have to get involved at this point. Like, he can kind of just let Naruto handle him. And then if you take the main series, that's probably how it would go anyway, because of the way Kabuto wants to take Naruto and B out. He wants to basically put their souls into the kingdom of hell that the Rinnegan can summon. And then eventually he's going to bring them back for some method or another. We couldn't really figure out what that was. It was Edo Tensei or Rene Tensei, something like that. He wants to bring them back. He basically wants to get them on his side to get moderate or Obito in this case, to come to his side and basically come to his will. So that's definitely the more likely path. Itachi just sitting back while Nagato handles business, and Mike's right just went over it. That's gonna be very easy. He already did it, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Like the only reason he didn't take Naruto and beat out is because Itachi interfered, which absolutely will not happen under these circumstances. So another thing I would just like to clarify, because this is a little bit confusing, is that the tailed beast probably won't die. Kabuto seems to want to use the tailed beasts as bargaining chips with Obito. I'm pretty sure because he wants to trade them for Sasuke. And we'll get into how that's going to go in a minute here. That's its own aspects of this discussion. But for right now, the main thing is that I think he wants these tailed beasts alive, or at least Naruto's half of the 9 tails alive, and the 8 tails as well. So one way or another, the Rinnegan Soul Steel thing just might not, like maybe it kills Naruto and Lee, or maybe it's like a temporary thing. It puts them in some like suspended state of consciousness, or like it's like a coma or something. Or maybe it's like how when Minato used the Reaper Death Seal, and he was sealed inside the belly of the Reaper. When he came out, he still had the 9 tails sealed inside of him. Now that's different because he like bound the 9 tails chakra to him with a contract with the Grim Reaper. So it's like I don't know if the same thing would apply here, but Six and I both agree that however it works, it's pretty likely that the tailed beasts aren't gonna die. Yeah. I don't think either Kabuto or Obito will.
The main reason for it was like, okay, we went through the intelligence, we were like, well, okay, their souls are intertwined, maybe it's not the best of everybody. But then remember how when Kage was confronting Naruto and B, going into the war, one of his plans was to basically kill Naruto so that the 9 tails would disappear, and then it would reincarnate later, in order to buy time so that Madara wouldn't get it. So yeah, the Legion probably won't die. I think Kabuto's pretty smart. I think he would know something like that. Like he wouldn't do it if it meant he was going to lose like the 2 most important pieces to him at this point.
Yeah, exactly. So he somehow would, he would store them in the King of Hell. Somehow the tail beast would be alive, I guess, and he would tell Nagato and Itachi to come back to base first. I think at least he's telling Nagato, that much is certain, because he wants to bring the tailed beast, I guess the Jinchuriki containing the tailed beast as close to him as possible. But he'd probably tell Itachi to go with him too, just because maybe somebody could come along who's strong enough to do something to Nagato. Maybe it's doubtful, but I think that Kabuto would be like aware that together, the two of them, there's just no way anybody's taking out both of them at once.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of why they were paired up in the first place, right? Like in the main series, they were paired up because with Itachi's Mangekyo and with Nagato's Rinnegan, they were unstoppable. At least in Itachi's ways.
And this would also probably be like full power, not crippled Nagato as well, because if things proceed as they did, then Itachi wouldn't need to jump in, and Nagato would just absorb beast chakra the way he did. So he would be mobile again and everything. Itachi wouldn't have to like kill him, and he wouldn't have to fly around on the bird or anything. Like he'd just be able to walk normally. Now, where this gets really interesting is Sasuke ran into Itachi like just naturally in the original timeline when Itachi was on his way to Kabuto to get Kabuto to release the Tensei. Now Itachi would be heading back to Kabuto to give him Naruto and B, and Sasuke would probably follow Itachi the same way he did in the original series, or at least try to, but here Itachi would like not just let Sasuke do that, because Kabuto's main goal when participating in the war was to get a hold of Sasuke so that he could perform experiments on him or whatever, right? Like, steal his body, find out some more secrets about the Sharingan, something like that, who knows. But he wanted Sasuke, that's the main thing. And the reason he was gonna, get, he wanted in the original series to get a hold of Naruto and B was, like I said earlier, to trade them for Sasuke, because he thought that like Obito had ownership of Sasuke or whatever, like because they were working together at the time that the two met. Now, for Kabuto to just see Sasuke walking around like this out in the open, he'd just be like, oh wow, I just won the lottery. He would have everything that he wanted. He wouldn't even need to work with Obito anymore. So he would just tell Itachi and Nagato to capture Sasuke. I think that everybody can agree there's a 0% chance that Sasuke wins that fight. But unless Hagoromo comes down and makes him white then and there and gives him the Rinnegan, because he's not beating Nagato and Itachi at the same time. So we can safely assume that Sasuke will also be taken care of. He probably won't be killed, but he'll be knocked unconscious. And then Nagato and Itachi will continue on their way back to Kabuto with all three of these people in tow.
So next, we kind of had like two ways to think about this: whether or not Kabuto would send these people to the ninja HQ, or he would send them to like do sort of a clean house on the battlefield. It's not really likely that Kabuto knows where HQ is. The first thing we immediately thought of was obviously like sensible to Sage Mode, but Kabuto's not in Sage Mode at this point, and he has no real reason to enter it. He didn't send anyone there in the main timeline, so that's probably not all too big of a concern for me. So he's probably going to send these people to the battlefield in order to do some cleanup. And keep in mind, in this timeline, there are no Casey and Naruto clones around. And the Casey and Naruto clones are said to have turned the tide overwhelmingly in the Shinobi Alliance's favor. So with Itachi and Nagato there, who just beat that guy, and the Alliance is going to be overwhelmingly in the White Zetsu's favor in this timeline.
Yeah, like the war is just going to completely like flip in Kabuto and Obito's favor. It won't really be in Obito's favor for long because I think Kabuto's going to try to take charge of the whole war and like like gain all the spoils from it for himself. Like we'll get more into in a minute here. But I mean, like the Edo zombies and like the Zetsu are just gonna overwhelm like everybody, especially when you throw Itachi and Nagato in the mix. So basically, what Kabuto would probably do is he would take a look at all the different battlefields, and he would figure out who needs to be eliminated first, just to keep himself safe. And you would probably think, well, the most powerful members of the Alliance armies naturally, and the two strongest that are currently on the battlefield at the time that this would all happen would be Gaara and Inoki, currently fighting the Edo Kage. Now, the Edo Kage might just be enough to take out Gaara and Inoki anyway, but I think there are two reasons that Kabuto would send Nagato and Itachi at first, to make sure that the Edo Kage are free and like not locked down by two of the other five Kage, so that they can be used to help him quote unquote negotiate with Obito. And second, just to make sure that none of them make absolutely sure, I should say, that none of them come and interrupt his discussion with Obito later when they happen, right? I think that Kabuto would want to eliminate as many powerful people from the world as possible and just kind of like force an unconditional surrender from the Alliance by getting rid of all of their powerful members, because I mean, as soon as Nagato and Itachi win this fight, Kabuto has everything that he wants, right? He got Sasuke, he got Naruto, he got Beast, and that was what the whole war was for. So, like, he would probably send Nagato and Itachi to the desert battlefield, and I mean, it's a wrap, right? Like, it's all over as soon as they get there. With all four of the Edo Kage, I guess all three now, since Garo, I think, would still take out Rafa. So with Dengetsu, Lu, and the third, plus Nagato and Itachi, like, I don't know what they're supposed to do without Naruto on their team. Like, they just get cleaned up, and it would probably be
They genuinely couldn't do anything to the Third Raikage before Naruto's appearance at all. Like, Naruto is just a shadow clone, keep in mind. He just got done beating up Blue. Just a shadow clone was enough to, take out the Third Raikage. But none of the other Shinobi Alliance, Tamara is the strongest one-star user in that division, apparently. She wasn't able to do anything to the Third Raikage, even with help with her being casting that level. They couldn't do anything to the Third Raikage. So you got this impenetrable, unstoppable force, and then you got Itachi and Nagato stronger than him at his side. This whole battlefield is basically just like Naruto 2.0, right? Just split up into different bodies. They're all unstoppable opponents for the other side. It's really like when Kabuto keeps Itachi, things start to go overwhelmingly in his favor. Like Itachi really put a stop to something pretty terrible going down.
Yeah. I mean, it's like Itachi and Naruto, basically, like, once you take them off of the Allied Shinobi Forces side, it's bad. Like, really, really bad. And so, like, Gaara, Onoki, all of those other characters who were there, like Kamari and, like, people like that, of course, all of the nameless Squad Ninja, they're all dead. And it probably happens fast, too. I don't think it would take them very long. I also don't think that Itachi or Nagato would like play with their food. I think that they would just. I don't even know if Kabuto would leave their personalities intact. So I think that everybody would get taken care of fairly quickly. The only question is like how quickly. I don't know if it would be instant or anything like that. I think everybody agrees that there's nothing that Onoki and Gaara are going to be able to do to them, right? Which sucks too, because another thing about Gaara is that he's one of the best sealers in the Allied Shinobi Forces because there's like sand jutsu that you can use to seal Edos. So, you know, getting rid of Gaara is like huge for Kabuto. And I'll stop saying Kabuto and Obito because they're not going to be a team for very long after this. But it's huge for Kabuto, right? That eliminates one of the biggest threats to him. So the main point that I'm getting to here with how long it takes is at some point Zetsu is going to go tell Obito that Kabuto is in I don't think Zetsu wants Kabuto to have them because that stops the 10 kills from getting summoned, which stops the Infinite Tsukuyomi from getting activated and also stops Kaguya from coming back for it. And that, you know, Zetsu doesn't want any of that. He would probably go try to Obito like, hey, Kabuto is betraying you, you need to go put a stop to him. So, I don't know how many members of the Allied Shinobi Forces Nagato and Itachi would kill before this happens. It's possible that it's limited to just the Kage and the other people who are there in the desert. Maybe Tsunade, A, and Mei all get there too. I think that that's less likely. It's still possible, but I mean, they might have to show up like immediately because of how dire things get as soon as Itachi and Nagato show up in that desert. But I think that it's definitely, I'm almost certain that they'd be able to wipe out Gaara and Onoki. Like, everybody who was initially there, I think, is done for. The only question I have is, can Itachi and Nagato make things so bad that the other Kage have to show up and take them out before Obito finds out from Zetsu about what's going on? And
I don't think
I'm like 50-50 about that. I think 50-50, probably not. I think I would side with 6 here. I think I'm leaning towards probably not. I think it's possible, but not particularly likely.
I don't think so, only because Zetsu was already fighting one of the 5 Kage. He was fighting Mei, and he was fighting Chojo as well. And I think the urgency of bringing Kaguya back and wanting to get Madara to manipulate the 10 toes and Shiriki or whatever, I think the urgency of all of that would cause him to move extremely quickly. Now, it's not like Zetsu with Madara, where Zetsu and Madara have like a telepathic connection and they can just talk wirelessly, basically. He has to actually get to Obito. So I think it would be basically the utmost importance to really travel underground or running to let Obito know what Kabuto is up to. Because Kabuto, keep in mind, like the thing you mentioned, Kabuto is up right now. Kabuto has every single piece of this war currently going in his favor. The only thing Obito still has that Kabuto can't completely control is his 6 Edo Jinchuriki. That and I guess Zetsu. That's it. Kabuto is basically, won by this point. So I think Zetsu is definitely going to rush to tell Obito before something like that happens. Now, the thing is, can Obito get there fast enough?
With Kamui, he probably would. But, well, no, he would probably want to go with all 6 of the Jinchuriki is the thing, so I don't think he would go there with Kamui. I think he actually try to physically travel there.
Yeah.
So he probably wouldn't teleport there, it would probably take him a bit, and in the time that it takes him to get there, I think that Itachi and Nagato are at least going to take out Onoki and Gaara.
Yeah.
It's possible that they get the other Kage, but...
Do you think that Tsunade and like Kage, can you realize with the light speed piece or whatever? Do you think they get, like if they get there, do they interfere with the battle that's about to ensue? Because Kabuto's not in the battle for Obito.
Well, I don't think Kabuto would go I think that Kabuto would stay in
But they
and
do.
he would probably summon Itachi and Nagato in whenever Obito shows up.
Yeah, that could make sense. I could see that. So then, if that happens, what does Obito do to the far Kage? Can he just lose?
I think Obito would leave the 5 Kage alone because I think that Kabuto would be the most pressing matter for them for sure because he has control of Itachi, Nagato, Madara, and he has Sasuke, Naruto be in his possession. And honestly, Kabuto could force Obito to ignore them too. He'd just be like, I'll kill Naruto and B if you don't come like right now or something like that, right? You know, he could send like an Edo Tensei, whoever he wants really. I think he would try to kill as many members of the Allied Shinobi forces as he could and prioritize them in order of like power before Obito gets them, and then I think Obito would become a military.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think it's saying Kabuto has the like the advantage was like basically bossing Obito around.
Yeah.
And I guess we did say earlier like, oh, okay, Obito wouldn't like he would rush to the battlefield with the other trophy. I guess it's not impossible that he like just sucks all of them into calmly, goes through it calmly and spits them back out. I mean,
but I think that that's unlikely. I think that like he might, but I don't know if he, because like I think he just like go there, right, like with them behind him, because you know he could have just done that to Naruto and leave, but he didn't.
Oh, yeah, but mama.
That, like, we talked about this a little bit before, but like, where was he going? was he playing?
I feel like he had to have just been trying to find Naruto and leave.
Yeah, I mean, so if we take it in like the timeline, and he was actually trying to find Naruto and leave, then yeah, I agree. Like he would just run to Kabuto. It might take him maybe we don't really know how far away Kabuto is from that battlefield, but he would have taken a pretty decent amount of time to actually get there. Especially considering how Naruto like split off all of his clans to make all those battlefields. So taking a pretty decent amount of time to get there. He kills like as many people as possibly can before Obito gets there, and then we're like basically we're not the end game, but we're getting towards the end game with Obito.
Yeah, like the start of the end, I guess. Yeah. I think that again, like I said, Gaara and Inoki are done. The other Kage are possible, and then if they go, I think that that's probably as many as Kabuto can get, but he'd probably go after like Kakashi and Guy too, because they'd be the people that he's like next most worried about.
Yeah. So do you see like a big guy versus what Edos did he do after? There's no Edos that are gonna.
I think Guy would not use the 8th gate unless it's like Itachi Nagato are about to kill Lee or something.
Yeah. And even then, it's not going to do anything, right? Because they just have
yeah, exactly, because he can't steal them. I don't think it's likely that it gets to that, but I think that basically, as much time as Obito gives Nagato and Itachi, that's how many people they kill. There's no one in the alliance that can stop those two. There's like no one who'd be able to get to them. Like, okay, actually, this is where we can bring up one thing that's going to come up in the Obito-Kabuto fight. Maybe Kakashi could Kamui one of them away. He would have to Kamui the whole body, not just the head, because you know they can regenerate. But then Kabuto could just summon them out. And I didn't think that this was the case until 6 reminded me that Sasuke summons his hawk into Nagi's dimension. So Kabuto should just be able to summon the Edos out of Kamui, which is insane. There's like no counterplay to these two like behemoths that Kabuto would have, right?
And then if Kabuto has you guys on like automatic mode, they're definitely taking out the Sealing Shinobi, right? Like immediately. So there's none of that on Guy and Kakashi's side. So it's really like Kamui or bust.
The alliance is probably going to be down some people. I think, like I said, at worst it's Gaara and Inoki are gone. Maybe some of the other Kage. Maybe more than that, but I think more than that is probably unlikely. I think by then, Kabuto is secured, Nagato and Itachi, and I mean, he'd probably also have all of the Edo Kage with him too, right? And he would basically bring his strongest Edo summons to him, He might just bring Edo, Itachi, and Nagato to the cave to make sure that the negotiations with Obito go smoothly, and he might send the other Kage around the rest of the world to deal with other people.
I think he maybe would bring Itachi and Nagato.
I think I agree with that. I think he would send the other Kage elsewhere to deal with the scraps of people who are left. Like whoever Nagato and Itachi don't get to, he would send the Kage after them. And his other Edos who are still around, like Kimimaro and Shio and stuff.
Do you really think Obito would be interested in negotiating with Kabuto?
No, they wouldn't negotiate. Obito would just go try to kill him and get Naruto and beat back. But Kabuto would frame it as a negotiation because I think Kabuto would want to kill Obito. Because I think that Obito is the last person who Kabuto has to worry about.
I think Kabuto has everything on his side right now to just get it over on Obito. He's like, if you just kill me and never get these Jinchuriki, then you do what I want. Yeah, and that's really hard.
Yeah, basically. Okay, so Obito gets to the hideout, whatever cave that Kabuto then he gets in. He has the 6 Jinchuriki in tow. Kabuto is being guarded by Nagato and Itachi. They start talking. Obito absolutely refuses to do what Kabuto wants because Obito really believes in Rai's moon plan, and he doesn't just want to be Kabuto's lackey for world domination or whatever. And so he's just like, no, you give him to me or I'll kill you. And I think that Obito respects Itachi and Nagato, but I don't think he's that afraid of them because Kabuto summoned everybody there at once, and Obito didn't really see that stuff until Madara showed up. So I think that Obito was prepared to fight Kabuto before, even without the Rinnegan. Now, I'm not saying necessarily that this is indicative of his success rate, but I think that it's in character for him to fight Kabuto. Right? I don't think he's gonna listen to him.
Yeah.
So these two are gonna fight, and this is if you thought it was complicated before, this is where it gets really complicated. So first of all, like we've established, Kamui is not a win button against these Edos because Kabuto can just summon them back. Another thing too is I don't think that Obito will actually use the Edo Jinchuriki here because he doesn't want them to get sealed in the Tosuka Blade where he'll never be able to get them back. Then the Biju are just gone permanently and there will be no Tenkyos ever again. And yeah, I think Obito's okay, that is that is a lose condition, if there ever was one for the Eye of the Moon plan. So he would probably just try to fight Itachi, Nagato, and Kabuto all by himself. Now, if you've been around the channel for a while, or you've seen any of Six's videos, we both think Obito is really strong. I don't know if he's this strong, strong enough to beat Kabuto, Nagato, and Itachi all at the same time, all working together. I think he could probably do it, but it would not be easy, at all. It would probably be the closest fight that, the closest hypothetical fight I've ever talked about. Yeah. This matchup is really, really, really hard.
So, before we get too deep into the wrestling battle, I just thought about something that kind of might change the course of it. Do all the Rinnegan summon the same King of Hell?
I think, but I don't know. It might be different. Are you saying Obito will just be able to get them back?
Yeah.
Well, wait, doesn't he have the same Rinnegan as Nagato anyway?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so they have the same
eyes. So I think before this then, Kabuto would not be dumb enough to, I think he would take Naruto and Lee out of the King of Hell. And he would just restrain them or something.
Maybe that's what he meant by reviving them. He would take them into the King of Hell, revive them so they're gonna get it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
that has to have been what he meant.
Yeah, let's have that be what we meant earlier. We'll retcon the first part of the video he's now doing that with Naruto.
So he has a Naruto, B, and Sasuke somewhere in the cave in a coma or whatever.
Yeah, one of those Edo coffins or something.
Yeah. And Obito is fighting and Nagato and Itachi, like you said. So Obito's only real win con here is to put Kabuto into Kamui and then deal with Itachi and Nagato, which is going to be easier said than done because it's Itachi's a problem here, right? Like, I don't really talk about it that much when I throw Itachi into versus battles because I put him up against like I do him dirty. I put him up against people historically who are just like kind of like with really bad matchups for him, like Minato and Obito and stuff. We don't really have to worry about the Totsuka Blade. But like the thing is, when you're fighting somebody who has infinite Totsuka Blade and also has Nagato at like max power and Sage Kabuto on their team, like, bro, that's tough. Because Kabuto has the Kabuto has the dragon and like the Tayuya Genjutsu, and Obito doesn't have anybody here to snap him out of the Genjutsu, right? Yeah. So like he just has to be really careful. He basically just has to he has to fight perfectly, but Kabuto has room to make a couple mistakes.
And that Genjutsu is strong, by the way. Kabuto when he was using that Sage Chakra, that Genjutsu is strong. It took 2 manipulative Genjutsu to break that Genjutsu. That is a strong Genjutsu. And Obito has no one to look in the eyes. That's why I say there's no one looking in the eyes and breaking out of that Genjutsu. So
he has to be quick. He has to go straight up to Kabuto and like get rid of him immediately, and that's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
Six and I were talking about this. I don't know if he'd be able to absorb the white dragon jutsu that like paralyzed Sasuke and Itachi and would probably paralyze Obito too. I also don't know if that jutsu would affect Itachi and Nagato at the same time or if they'd be immune to it. Because like Edos don't feel pain or anything, so it's possible that their senses are dull, but it did still paralyze Itachi. It maybe Kabuto has would be able to turn on like a friendly fire filter or something for it. But I don't know. It's not
the way Kabuto moves is by liquefying the inside and shutting off his eyesight, so it just doesn't affect him.
I don't think that the Yada mirror would block it because it's like light.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like it's also like it's like AM sound, and Itachi's still able to like talk to Sasuke from behind the Yada mirror, so probably not, right? But it's like again, like I don't know if because it still works on him, so it's obviously not like a friendly fire filter. So maybe it will affect Nagato and Itachi. So like there are a couple of ways we can look at this. If it does affect Nagato and Itachi, then Kabuto uses it and hopes that it turns off Kamui and then rushes at Obito, and one of two things happen. Either he kills Obito right there, or Obito sucks him into Kamui. That's the only way that happens. The other one is it doesn't work on Nagato and Itachi, which probably is the case. And if Obito can't use Kamui, he gets close to it. And that's because like he'd be stuck in place. So he either has to retreat or start phasing through it. And I don't know how this would work. Like I don't know which of these would end up happening. I'm pretty sure it's locking Nagato and Itachi down based on what happened to Edo Itachi when he fought Kabuto. I don't know if Kabuto would rush Obito in that situation.
I mean, you probably have Itachi toasted with him to be safe.
But Itachi would be paralyzed too.
You can still use Susanoo though. He did it in that example when Kabuto used the dragon.
Yeah, but he wouldn't be able to see Obito.
Kabuto can do it.
I guess that's true. Yeah. You think Obito will be able to phase through it? Because by the time Itachi recovers, I think Obito would be fine to use Kamui. Like if Itachi can still use Susanoo, then Obito should still be able to use Kamui.
I mean, I guess that would look to like resilience to the jutsu. I think him being an Edo probably gave him a higher resistance to it because they're like kind of constantly regenerating whatever. Like they can't do permanent damage to an Edo tensei if you do what I mean.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. So that's possible, but Obito also has this weird like Hashirama regeneration stuff that gets him insanely high resilience too, so who knows. There's also the question of if Obito could and would absorb the white dragon, right? Like, I don't know. There are so many different things. Like, so, if we're talking about who's most likely to win the fight, I think it's regardless of who it is, I think it's like 5.5 to 4.5 for either side.
Yeah.
And I think I want to lean towards Obito. But like, it's hard to ignore that Itachi and Kabuto and Nagato all have like really busted stuff in their arsenals that are just immediately winning the fight. I mean, Obito does too, obviously, right? Like, he has the strongest jutsu in the whole series, but like the way it interacts with three people that are this dangerous, it's really complicated and interesting, I think. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out who wins the fight.
I think that, because Soren brought this up before we were recording, and I think it was really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
He brought up how when Obito was fighting Queen Tournament, he basically did a feint, and then he made Tournament touch through with his right hand, and he like infected him. You know, this happened a larger scale with Itachi and Nagato. And Itachi and then Tokyo trying to stop Obito, and he ends up hitting Nagato because Obito flew or whatever. And I thought that was pretty interesting. I was like, well, Obito does this type of stuff in character, using mind as well, using this kind of. I don't think there's out of the possibility, out of the possibility, that Obito would do something like this, and that he could.
I think if Kishimoto wrote this fight, I think that this would happen.
Yeah.
I think that it's likely that this would take place. So it would be down to just Obito, Itachi, and Kabuto. And I think that Kabuto might be so stone-struck by this that Obito will get him a comment or something. Now that's pushing it a little bit, but regardless, I think that if Itachi takes out Nagato, I think that Obito's odds of winning go up like significantly, right? So I think that after enough time has passed, Obito would come out on top of him this fight. Because, you know, like losing a whole member of the three-man team is a big deal. So yeah, Obito probably wins in the long run through his like crazy like MLG Kamui trick feint thing. But I think that before it gets to that point, Kabuto would probably summon Madara as like a last ditch.
Yes, sir.
And this is where things get like really weird, because so when we did our Obito versus Madara video back in December, we gave Obito a lot of benefits that he would not have in this what-if scenario because it was like a versus battle, and we didn't want Madara to have these massively unfair advantages. But Madara has those like rods and stuff, and he has the seal on Obito's heart. So I think that as soon as Kabuto brings him back, Madara is just going to Rene Tensei himself, and then Kabuto and Itachi, if Itachi's even still around, are done. And before any of you were like, well, wouldn't he just listen to what Kabuto has to say? So first of all, Orochimaru said that Hashirama was able to break out of his control like at any time if he wanted to. So there's a precedent for this already. But second of all, Six and I reread a lot of the Madara-Kabuto interactions, and Madara was just doing whatever he wanted. Like, Kabuto would suggest things to him, and he'd be like, no, I want to do this instead.
He straight up just like, when he does Deep Force Merchants, he straight up like, I kind of want to try this out. And then he just does Deep Force Merchants. So, he's in control of his own body. He doesn't have to listen to Kabuto. And I don't really think Kabuto would make Madara listen to him. And then we were thinking, well, who would Madara side with? Because he should be able to make a listen to him. Who would Madara side with? He's probably going to side with Kabuto. You know, beat Obito down, make him do Rene rebirth on him so that he can become the Ten Toes and Trade or whatever. Just signing with Kabuto is the better option here for entirely.
Yeah, but then he's taking Kabuto.
Yeah, and then Kabuto
yeah. So now I know people are gonna be mad at me, like, oh wow, Swag, you turned Wood Itachi, you never switched sides into Madara winning. But like, look, I said this before we started recording. I didn't want this to be what happens, but it's either Kabuto beats Obito, which I think is less likely, or eventually Kabuto summons Madara, and then Madara beats Obito, and then beats Kabuto.
Yeah. So it's just kind of how it turns out. And then like, I guess Kaguya shows up at the very end, and no
like
one
after Madara activates the infinite, like Madara activates infinite super Oni, all that, Kaguya shows up, nobody stops her, and then into the Boruto era, she fights Momoshiki or whatever, who knows. We're probably just gonna stop at the end of Shippuden because I don't want to be like, well, she would fight Momoshiki and Genji, would she fight Ishifuji? Like, there's a whole, like, it doesn't belong in the discussion about the subject in the title of the video. They're going a little bit too far.
Boruto also doesn't exist in this timeline.
Yeah, Boruto would never be born because Naruto died way back, in the war. So, but yeah, we get a very bad ending with like the bad ending music playing at the end with Kabuto, with Kaguya just floating around ominously looking down at the planet, getting all her chakra back, and everybody turning the white wetsuits. It sucks. Itachi actually saved like the whole planet with that Korolatsukan.
Itachi and Naruto carried. Who would have thought?
There's no good ending though for this. Because if Kabuto takes out Obito, then like Kabuto just takes over the world, I guess, and is a piece of shit, evil Orochimaru weirdo.
He just does
Those
experiments.
are really the only true outcomes. Like what is like what? No, okay. So if Kabuto takes out Obito, then I guess Guy would probably be able to beat Kabuto at the 8th gate. But all of the Edo Tensei would still be around, and nobody would be able to stop them. So it'd just be the Walking Dead Naruto dude. But yeah, I think that's everything. So if you stuck around this long,